Okay, thank you, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to our 3D Lithophanes tutorial. Do y'all know what a lithophane is? I know Celeste does. What it is, it's a 3D printed photo. It's a little bit different though than a regular photo because it's usually backlighted. So you see it, you see the photo stick out. Like I said, it's illuminated. Some important terms for y'all to keep in mind today. If you don't know what 3D printing is, it's what's called additive printing, where it prints layer by layer. And it usually builds up. Okay. And another term I'll probably throw out today is a slicer. And that tells the 3D printer on how to print a 3D model. Okay, there are several different lithophane makers out there. You can start from scratch and use a program like Photoshop or Blender, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to learn. There are a couple out there. This one is a very simple one. This isn't the one I'll be walking through. I just wanted to show y'all the different ones today. This one, you can only do one picture at a time. And it's very basic. A lot of people use it. They do like it. But like I said, I think it's a little crude to use, but it's not a bad one to use. Lithophane makers, this one's a very popular one as well. They have a lot of neat designs on there that you can make, like a lamp holder, hearts, a light box. But this takes a deeper understanding of lithophanes. You can't really see what you're doing as you do it. You just kind of upload your files and you have to tell it what to do. So this one, it is a great one, but I would hold off on this one until you understand a little bit more about lithophanes. Okay, and this is the one we'll be using. It's called It's Litho. And you pretty much just, you can go to the site and click Get Started. Just waiting for it. You have the option of signing up and creating a profile. You don't need to. You can. It's only best if you want to go back and make a lot of different projects and go back and edit it at a later time. All right, so the first step is we need to upload an image. So you go up here to the tabs and you click upload. And then you have to click the upload button again right here, this blue one, to get your image. All right. So we're going to start off with one picture. All right. And you can see it as it uploads. And then you go to edit mode. It automatically grayscales it for you because that's how it's going to print. Luminance is the most common one that is used for making lithophanes. They have other options, but Luminance is pretty much the best option. So my nieces and nephews, I have like 12 of them. So this right here, these red, green, blue, intensity, those are just options for you to edit your photos. The one thing I want to remind everybody about lithophanes is you want a good contrast between dark spaces and the lighter spaces, because the white spaces are where the light shines through on your lithophane, and the dark spaces are what's going to be illuminated and what's going to show. And I'll show you more about what that means when we get to model. So here on your image editor, you can mess with your contrast, your brightness. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You kind of just eyeball it and see what kind of looks best. Image transformations. You can rotate, crop your image with this option. I really don't need to move it too much. And what's good about this is instead of like trying to find my way back to the 0 and overshooting it, you can double click the numbers and just enter it manually with your keyboard. Like I said, you can crop it. You need to. You can mirror your image or just kind of flips it. And then you can actually flip it upside down. All right. So once I'm satisfied with that part, I can go over here to the model tab. I'm going to click that up here. Close all these real quick. Okay, before we get started, I just want to point out this right here, this circle arrow, it's kind of like a reset. See where it says your settings have been reset. If you don't like what you're doing, if you mess up, you can click this up here. The only thing about it, it's gonna reset everything. So be very careful. And these arrows right here, it just kind of flips how you see the screen. All right. So there are different shape options for a lithophane. For most of this tutorial, I'll be just doing a basic one plain, but I'll circle through them real quick. You have the option for a cylinder. Creates like a little cylinder for you to see all the pictures, well, for the single picture. And that's how it prints. We have a spear. I've never printed the spear, so I'm not sure how well it looks printed, but it's a pretty neat option. You have the arc, or kind of arc, where it just kind of curves your picture. It makes it easier to scan. Pumpkin. They have these really neat like holiday themed ones. That's what I really like about this one too. Like they're updating the tool, and this they do holiday themed ones. Like here's the pumpkin, and they have a Christmas one and a heart, which I'll show you in a second. This revolve one, they have different options, and it's like a vase pretty much. Change it. See? And we have a circle. Christmas one, a little star, and a heart. So I'm gonna go back to plain. Set it real quick. Whenever you click the pumpkin option, it turns it orange and keeps it orange. I'm not sure why it does it. It's something with the generator itself, but it really doesn't change anything. Okay. So here in the model viewer, it shows you your lithophane, and it shows you how it looks when it's backlit. So imagine there's a light behind it, and that's how it appears. You have the options to mess with the width or the height. You really don't need to mess with those settings too much. Because in the slicer, you'll be able to change how big you print it. And this will just make your file bigger, and it may make it too big to download. And like I said, you really don't need to mess with your these too much, unless you decide either you want to crop it or crop inside. I will say this though about minimum thickness. For the most part, y'all can leave it as it is, but this is where it also gets a little bit more complicated, because minimum thickness, it also relates to your 3D printer and your 3D printer's nozzle. So a 3D printer, I'm gonna show you something real quick. So I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second. So a 3D printer, it prints plastic, and it prints it through a nozzle. So this is just an example of filament, and it's plastic that we use here at the library. So 3D print, and what it does, it takes that plastic and it melts it through a little nozzle to print. Nozzle sizes from the standard size, especially one that we use here at the library, is a 0.4 millimeter size. And minimum thickness, you change it to 0.2 plus your nozzle size. It gets a little complicated there, and it can be a bit much. But if you leave it at the recommended settings, it won't affect it too much. But for a better print quality, we should change it to 0.6 right here on this minimum thickness. Okay. So here on frame options, you have the options of giving it a frame, because right now you see it has a frame on there, and this is it without it. It prints much better when you have a frame or a border. Kind of gives it an extra, a couple of layers to prepare itself for to print. Lithophanes are very particular because they have to be presented very precisely, because there's a lot of detail in them. I like to print mine with the frame, makes it look more like a picture. And here you can just adjust the thickness, the depth of the frame. All this just affects your frame right here. And you can just adjust it as you see fit.
Ashley, do you still have the examples that you've already printed? I know you couldn't, they didn't show very well the other day, but maybe I think with the lighting that you have now, it looks like it would show up better.
Yeah, unfortunately, I left those.
That's
at
okay.
home desk,
That's okay. I was just wondering if you had some handy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took them all home. Yeah, and I forgot to bring them today. Sorry, but yeah, they weren't showing very well through the camera the other day. All right, so that's frame options. Right here is quality options. This shows you how big your file size is. You have the option to adjust it. Like if you end up creating a file that's too big, like here in shape options, I'm gonna go super big and see like it's 2,476, and that's way too big for it because it's gonna, if I try and download it, even warns me it's gonna crash the tool. So right here, I can mess with the pixels and make it smaller. You lose out on some resolution that way, but it's nice to have that option to be able to do that, to fix it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and reset it because I'm fine with the way it looks like right here. This preview model, it affects your model viewer. It doesn't affect your lithophane. Here, I'm gonna show you. If I go to high, it's gonna show more detail on how the lithophane looks, but it's gonna make your program run slower, and it takes longer to respond and download. So you can usually leave it on low, and it's usually not too much of a problem. I guess you only want to look at high when you want to see more clearly in how your lithophane is looking. Okay, and right here we have attributes, which enables you to make it like a nightlight or a lamp. Let me show you. So right here, this is the back of the lithophane, and it's really neat that they added this feature where you can create an added piece, so you can specifically include a light in the back of it. So that's the lamp feature, and there's another one. There's the nightlight. It just kind of creates that little, and you can mess with it right here like that. If you know exactly your measurements of the light you have, it makes it kind of easier to mess with these parts, the distance with depth and thickness. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off now. Right here, model options. So right here, lighting, this model viewer is showing me how the lithophane looks when it's backlit. So like if there's a light behind it, we can see it with no light. And this is how the lithophane looks when it's actually going to be 3D printed. So this is what if you decide to send a file, this is what it's going to look like. You really don't need to mess with any of these other model options. Right here, model options. It's a positive image. If you turn it off, it becomes a negative, kind of like an actual photo, like the negative image of a photo. And this is just like where's your edit tab, where it allows you to edit your picture right here, right now. Your flip picture. This part is really handy if you decide to use a different shape, like the heart or the star, because you can go in and move things around. Here, let me show y'all. So I'm gonna switch to the hearts. So right here with the heart, you can't see any of the kids. So I would adjust these settings. See, it's moving the picture inside the heart. And that's usually what this section is good for. Is that it? Like I said, if you want to do just a regular picture, you really don't need to change much. And once you have it the way you want it, you can go here, over here to the right side. There's a big download button, and you just click it. It takes a few moments to download your lithophane, especially if you make any like major changes to it. Sorry. And you have a few options. The lithophane plus the attribute, that's downloading the lithophane and like the nightlight option. And that's going to make sure the model stays together. You can just download the lithophane, or you can just download the attribute, the nightlight part. There is a way to make color lithophanes. This is a new option that they've included. It's a little bit different. Right now, we're just focusing on basic lithophane. So I'm going to click the lithophane right here. So you just click on the one you want, and it downloads it. As you see right here at the bottom of my screen, it shows me it's downloaded. If you're not sure where it ends up, you should have a downloads folder, and that's where it should be. It always calls itself It's Litho, whatever the name of your image is. And I know you guys aren't going to be messing with this part, but I want to show you what a slicer is. Make sure it's sharing. Okay. So this one's called Cura. It's a very popular 3D model slicer. I'm gonna open my file. I have a couple examples here. And it just shows you your image, how it's going to appear. This large box is your print bed. And it's where your 3D printer is going to print on. You always want to print lithophane standing up. It takes longer, but that's how you ensure you get all those details of the photo. If you print it laying down, you're going to lose all that detail. Hopefully in the future, when the makerspace reopens, y'all be able to come in and slice files yourselves. The lithophanes are they're always printed very finely. So what layer height means is how big or thick the layer is going to be when you print. 0.1 is a good standard for it. The infill is going to be like 99%. What that means is how infill is kind of like how heavy your print is going to be. Earlier it was on 20, that's lighter. I'm not using as much filament. 99% or 100%, it means it's totally filled with the filament. And speed, you always want to slow down your printer when you're printing a lithophane, just because of all the detail they have. This one needs no support. What support means, if like there's an overhang, like here, let me rotate this one. Okay, so this is rotated. So right here, it's kind of like an air. It needs something to support it when it's printing like that. And the support will create like some kind of stand right here to help it stand up. And a brim creates like another layer at the bottom of your print just to help it stand up. Right. And these things do take quite a bit to print as well, the detail and how slow, and because I'm slowing it down and we're using so much filament. And this one's not too big. And right here in this corner, like it's gonna take 7 hours to print. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I'm gonna go back to the lithophane generator and I'm gonna show you how to do more than one picture at a time. But if everybody doesn't have any questions so far, I'll go back to it.
I don't have any questions about this, but so is there like a limit to the number of lithophane documents we can send you to be printed? which I mean, I'm not gonna get out of control, okay? But I'm just wondering, is there, like, I know I've sent 2 so far. Did you get both of those
Yes,
2?
yes, I got both of those.
Okay. Because, and the reason I asked that question is because on one of them,
Mhm.
it showed that in order to print, it was gonna cost over $100.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it costs for the library to print it?
No, that doesn't, not what it,
Okay.
no. Um, right now we're not charging for 3D prints. If you bring in your own filament, we'll print what you want for you here at the library. And like, this roll of filament costs like $20. And this is a lot too, like you get a lot out of it. But we're not really charging for prints right now, just because we're not doing cash flow right now. But since you came to both classes, I'd be willing to do another one for you, Celeste. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. So I'm gonna go back to my uploads. I'm gonna delete this picture. I'm gonna go back to my uploads, or I'm gonna click upload again so I get my pictures. I've been listening to the Harry Potter books on audio, so I'm like kind of obsessed with it right now. So I'm gonna do the Harry Potter book covers. See the order I'm putting them in, that's the order they're going to appear on your model editor. So if you want something, just yes.
Ashley, you still on the slicer on the
Oh.
power?
Oh, it's still on the, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see it. Okay. Can everybody see it now? The lithophane. Do y'all see the lithophane where I have the 3 pictures
Oh,
of?
your Harry Potter
Yes.
covers?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So yes. So the order you put them in here, that's the way they're gonna appear on the model editor. You can't really like move them like by hand. You would have to delete them and upload them again to move them in the order you want them in.
Hmm.
All right, so I'm just gonna do the first 4. Like again here, I'm not really gonna mess with the edits too much. Like I mentioned before, you really don't need to do a lot in this part. May just want to make them a bit darker, but that's pretty much it. Loading here. Okay. You see it right here on my model viewer. On the plane, it automatically sets it in the order for you. The 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't change the order of it. I really like the multiple photos, especially with like a cylinder option. They look pretty neat.
Oh, that does look neat.
Yeah. And here with the cylinder options, there's a little bit different ways you can edit it. So I'm trying to, like you can actually close the bottom, which makes it easier to stick a light in there, but it has to be like a battery operated light.
And put one of those or battery operated tea lights in there.
Yes, pretty much, which these are really neat for those little night lights. You have the option to enable a lamp again. You can see that right there in the bottom.
It's neat.
Right. I'm not really in. And once I'm done with that, you can just pretty much download it again. And that's pretty much it with the Lithophanes. They're pretty, with these lithophane tools, they make it so much easier now to create them. So people used to have to use Photoshop, and that takes a long time. And Photoshop's not exactly an easy program to learn either.